Hello, greetings from LTCo near Krakow in Poland once again. Predictably slurping a cup of Yorkshire tea. Got a few things to talk about. Firstly, I've got this playing at the moment. Surface Mutants. It's a nice collection. This just arrived today and it jumped straight to the top of the pile. I had a 12-inch by these until fairly recently. You Take Me Somewhere Strange, produced by Camera Voltaire, but I've had to start the same as my 7-inch records from that kind of post-punk period. I've had to start selling my 10 inches and 12 inches off because I need the space for LPs. So and I need the money to help with the labels as well. So that's the other side of it. I'm not selling everything, but a lot of it's gone. And my Surface Mutants 12 inch, which was cherished since I bought it in 1980 or 81, so I was a teen, has stayed with me all this time. But I thought I can't sell it without getting this compilation CD instead, because I really like Train, the lead track on this. Anyway, that arrived today. I've also been, and I've got a couple for my mail order stock as well. That's from the Klang Gallery label in Austria. Very interesting label, but I can't afford everything on there, unfortunately, and they don't send review stuff, so I have to buy it whenever I'm interested in anything. And they don't do trades either, really weirdly. I think I tried proposing that once, and Walter, the guy who runs the label, just said, well, he doesn't have a shop or mail order service, but in order to do trades. But I thought, well, you might be interested in some personal copies, but never happened. Anyway, Surface Mutants is one thing, and I need to turn the CD down typically, because it is distracting me. I've also been playing that 3 CD collection, Twilight of Perception Redux, Volume 2. A nice 3 CD collection on Zaharam, the Polish label. That's been played quite a lot over the last couple of weeks, actually. I'm really enjoying it. It's good music to write to work to, because it's kind of ambient, and I really do like Vidna Admana as well. So that's the project that was formed in the 80s by I think he's Belgian, the Belgian guy Dirk Serres, and he subsequently started producing work under his own name. But I really like, which I also like, but I really like the Vidna Admana stuff. It is a little samey, a little repetitive, kind of psycho ambient with some rhythm sometimes. But I find, I suppose it's comparable with Rapoon, but I find it a little more interesting than Rapoon. And I quite like Rapoon as well, but you don't need too much of it. Although I have probably got about 15 albums, so yeah. But could I distinguish anyone from the next? Probably not. The same with Vidna Admana, in all honesty. But I am enjoying that set. Want to talk about a few other things that I've received recently, and I've been playing this Are Mundal. Songs for the Anechoic Chamber. There we go. The Anechoic Chamber, of course, is the chamber that was the source of inspiration for John Cage's 4 minutes and 33 seconds piece, which people often think was truly silent, but it isn't. It's kind of ambient. Anyway, Ari Mundell's LP, I think it's about his fourth or fifth, typically contains some religious imagery or even anti-religion. He's from Norway, Ari Mundell. It's all kind of hand assembled. It's on his own label. Only 100 of these. Quite nice. Kind of gloomy, also kind of gloomy ambient, but with some other sounds kind of sewn in as well. Pretty interesting. I think it's his best work yet, actually. But I really, I've said this in reviews before, and I think I wrote a review of this the other day, but I haven't published it yet. I find all that anti-religion stuff rather tiresome. It's all just been done before. I'm not religious myself, so I don't believe in God or anything. I'm not a person of faith. I believe in myself. That's about as far as it goes. So I'm not, upset or anything. I just find it all kind of, I don't know, a little predictable and hackneyed. So I've been playing anyway. But musically, Ari's best work yet. But it's definitely in that kind of post Lustmord world. But interesting anyway. I think. Anyway, I also have received this yesterday, some copies of this for my mail order. Michael Cashmore's first album proper, a reissue of this on green vinyl from the Svart label from Finland. So staying with Scandinavia for the moment. I haven't played this yet. Anyway, Michael Cashmore, so it's going to be good. He did do a cassette before that, but I don't think it's been reissued. So, and I also last week received these, and I played that I'm Being Good, and this double LP. That's kind of more from the shellac, Steve Albini, Rape Man, that kind of end. Bastro, Gastro del Sol. Are you allowed to say Rape Man? Who fucking cares? That was the name of Steve Albini's group. That's what it was called. Anyway, I'm Being Good. It's in that realm of music, kind of a group. It's definitely a group at work there. I think it's a trio. I need to check that. It doesn't really matter. So it's a group anyway, bass, guitar, drums, vocals, and I think it's a trio. Might be wrong. And it's helmed by Andrew Clare, who's somebody I've known since the 1980s, mid to late 1980s, when we used to meet at various gigs in London by Sonic Youth and Swans and Live Skull and Butthole Surfers and all those kind of, and Big Black as well. Probably even Rape Man. Come to that. That Head of David and that kind of stuff. But yeah, nice. And I've played those albums 2 or 3 times over now. But thanks very much, Andrew. They're actually a trade. They're both quite old as well. But anyway, Andrew I've known since the 1980s, and he used to publish a fanzine called Magazine. And then he had a solo music project called Salad Speech. And he would produce all these cassettes and send them to me. And all the music was based on the use of kitchen utensils, elastic bands being twanged, household objects being, thrown down the stairs and whatever. And yeah, so kind of very a very lo-fi or no-fi version of some of Tom Waits' kind of music, you know, kind of junkyard feel. And that isn't a birthday party reference. But yeah, so. But he might be slightly ashamed of all that. He even used to have a label called Graphic Death Productions. Anyway, I used to bump into him quite a lot, and he lived or lives in Brighton, and I think I last met him 15 years ago. I think he came out one evening for a couple of pints with myself and a few friends that happened to live in Brighton during that time. But yeah, I thought I was to track him down and propose a trade, and I'm still waiting for him to tell me what he wants. But anyway, I had those sent last week, and then Gary Mundy kindly sent me a copy of this. It arrived also last week. Hypervigilance, the latest Ramley album, double. And I have actually written a review, and I'm going to read it in a minute, or at least attempt to. I hate, like most people, I think, I hate reading loud. But before I get into the meat and bones of the review, I'll criticise the cover artwork. I don't like it. I think it's like Ramley of old, to be honest, which is maybe why they went for it. So Gary, Anthony and Stuart, don't think I'm alone in this opinion either. Yeah, I mean, the artwork, the person who did the photography obviously is using, I don't know, ideas that resemble bodies. So I think it's just clothes all put together to resemble, you know, bodies. I actually, when I was about 14, 15 years old, I had a similar idea, I'm going to admit to this, as a prank. I thought I could do something similar to that and leave them scattered around one of the villages near where I lived as a kid, you know, and hope that these what would you call them, dummies or whatever, would freak people out, you know, like one laying on a river bank, you know, next to a river, it's kind of half in the distance, so people would see it and be there. But then maybe thankfully I never went ahead with it. I think I got as far as discussing it with friends. I think even a number of years ago in one of my lessons with a teenager, I mooted it as an idea, as a prank, and this particular person started saying, "Oh, that's a good idea." Anyway, no, I'm not proud of it, and I'm not suggesting anybody ever do that. But yeah, I don't like the artwork basically, and the label as well. Sleeping Giant Glossolalia, is that how you pronounce it? Glossolalia, which I think means speaking in tongues. You know, like the religious idea, going into that kind of fervour where you know lose control of what you're saying and whatever. Anyway, and everything's indiscernible. Glossolalia, I think. So correct me if I'm wrong. I've been asked, so before I get into the review, I've been asked by a number of people here in Poland whether I could stock this new Ramley album. And I thought I would try. I reached out to the label, Sleeping Giant Glossolalia, in America, and never heard back. And then looking at Discogs, I see quite a few people have had the same problem. So sleeping should be emphasised in this label's name, I think. I don't understand this, and I've moaned about this before. I don't understand why people set up labels and work with this kind of area of music and don't communicate. It's fucking ridiculous. So I'll criticise the label for that as well. That's not Ramley's fault. although they did choose to work with the label. So, but no, it's a shit show. So, you know, when people can't even be asked to write back and say sorry, but all of our records are being distributed by somebody else or whatever. Couldn't even do that. But then I find that other people have had the same problem. I think there's supposed to be a CD version of this, but I don't know. Who knows? So yeah. So nil point for the label, and the imagery, you know, kind of regressive, I think. But anyway, I think the Great Unlearning was fantastically designed and packaged, and also Puppy 38, I think, helped them with this. My friend Puppy 38 in Vienna, he helped with the assembly, but it's not his artwork, so I need to make that clear. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to get into the actual review, because I've got a couple of other things I want to talk about before I finish. So what did I write? Yeah, the Ramley double LP, Hypervigilance, kindly sent by Gary. Must admit, it took a couple of plays to sink in, despite the opener with its death procession drums and general funereal and downbeat atmosphere hit the spot immediately. Called Thunberg 2. But unclear whether it's favourable or not to the Rent-A-Cause mascot, because that's generally how I feel about her. So, Rent-A-Cause mascot. So yeah, I'm not sure whether it's. I read the words which are printed on the inner sleeve. It's a little unclear. It could be a statement on the divisiveness she or what she represents causes. That's perhaps more what I got. That's what I got from the lyrics more than anything else. But I could be wrong. You know, who knows? So might be a comment on how Dear Greta equally creates divisions. Okay, I'll retain my casting my own thoughts on her here anyway. So Nothing Here But Fire follows. That's the next track, and features a burst of, I can't read my handwriting, and features a burst dam. So a burst dam of submerged white noise, or is that searing white noise, yet is driven by chanted vocals wavering between resignation, while a synth vaguely resembling the sound of a fire extinguisher splutters, fizzes and hisses once in a while in the background. So, yeah, more chanted vocals and drums, cranked to the forefront of the mix, power things along to Frisson, which is a good old-fashioned noise rock stomper. That's true, it is. Oh my God, did I write this much? Sorry about this. It's like Jackanory. Into the Termite Mound. Excuse me, frog in the throat. Some Yorkshire should help clear that. Into the Termite Mound has a title similar to Killing Joke's track on their 1990 album Extremities, Dirt and Various Repressed Emotions, but has more affinity to Swan's post-Reformation albums. Very true. They probably didn't know about the similarity to the Killing Joke track, in all fairness. But they might agree that there is something of a Swans feel to some of their music. I'm not saying it's copying the Swans. I would say Swans and Ramley, what Ramley are doing now and have been doing for years, comes from the same place. That's what I would say. That's my argument with what I do with Splintered as well. Anyway, be that as it may, I think I need to continue. There's lots of feral screeching, but although Stuart's drums do their utmost to redeem everything, the track feels somewhat undernourished. Yeah, it's not one of the best songs on the album, as does Forage, which looks like Forage, unfortunately, when you look at it quickly, as does Forage, to be honest. This at least sees Gary and Anthony once again doing vocals together. They do lots of these kind of unison vocals, which is an element that works especially well in Ramley these days. Yeah, I go along with that. It's good when they come together on a vocal track. I've done that in Splintered as well, and I'm sure they do it in much the same way as we do, which is one person does it and then you do another vocal recording of the same lyrics. Maybe I'm wrong, but it works really well. Much better than Paul and Linda. So on to side 3, and New National Anthem is a side-long opus and another highlight, partly due to its hazy melodic interlude and thumping dynamics punctured by a recurring scream. Yeah, that is a really good song. I was playing the album again yesterday, actually, and nobody was home, so I cranked up the volume and got more out of it. There's also a neat foray. My handwriting. It's because I'm not used to handwriting. You know, I don't write by hand. I'm writing on a keyboard. I have been for years. So my handwriting was always shit. It was terrible. You know, it looks like a spidery scrawl. It's worse than doctor's notes. But it's worse than ever. It looks like, you know, I've written with my left hand. So, I'm right-handed, by the way, but yeah, it's. In fact, I think this hand might be better. So, might do a better job. There's also, there's also a neat foray into. Foray again. Have I used that twice? Into Gang of 4 type guitar grating by Gary at one point. That's true. Yeah, and I'm not averse to that at all. I like that kind of guitar, that choppy guitar sound, kind of angular. And there is a little dash of that on the track at one point. And a stern nod to the power electronics past in both the vocals and torrents of blistering noise, a real triumph. You know, so yeah, it's true. Side 4 starts off with the ingathering and sounds a little like it looks like bollock. Oh, a ballad by a metal group. So, yeah, like a power ballad or something. Or something by Deep Purple or Led Zepp, but with Pete DeFreitas, Echo and the Bunnymen, their late drummer, on drums, which is that's a positive. Pete DeFreitas' drumming was phenomenal. However, it conjures an almost shamanic spirit akin to the Doors. Definitely the most non-typical Ramley track here, whatever that means. But it still sits nicely on the album. It does. It's a nice track. But I like, I like all kinds of music, but I don't know whether it really sounds like Ramley. But anyway, last track, Nitya Pralaya, mispronounced, I'm sure, which is titled after Hindu philosophy's idea that life is fleeting and transient, which I'm sure members of Ramley ponder over considerably as they edge deeper and deeper into their middle years. But there's a lot of noise here to keep things suitably anguished, and at times nodding towards their 90s work. It's a nice finale. Yeah, so yeah, good. Not sure about there's just notes about the cover and the problems I had with contacting the label, which is unfortunate because I could have probably sold 4 or 5 copies here in Poland. Not a great amount, but you know, at this kind of level for all of us, I think all of us would agree, Ramley included, every 5 copies counts, you know, but I can't get them, so it means people will just have to go with that. It's a shame. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not like that with my labels. I write back to everybody. So, although Nick Soulsby wrote to me today, and I realised he wrote the same email to me about 2 weeks ago, and I sort of neglected to answer. So anyway, and that's regarding something for a book he's doing on Peter Christopherson. Anyway, yeah, I would say it's an album that you need, but I would argue this about many good albums, great albums even. It's an album that you need to listen to 2 or 3 times for it to really sort of seep into your, into your consciousness or your unconscious or subconsciousness even. So it really needs a while to warm up. I don't think it's immediate. I think that's true of the last album as well, really. Lots of nice ideas going on. A really good album anyway. But yeah, the questionable ways of the label, make me wonder why the hell they work with such labels. But anyway, that doesn't mean I wish I'd got the album. I just don't understand why a group that came from this kind of grassroots DIY sort of background would work with a label like that. Yeah, and I'm still very much embedded in all of that, and I'm a stickler for it. So, but anyway, on that note, I've done all the music I've had polled up here the last week or so, and I've had some more CDs and vinyl arrive today as well, but not for this time. Lastly, the Lumberton Trading Company subscription series should be live very soon. Each entry in this series will be limited to 150. They won't be standalone albums. They will only be, you will only be able to purchase them as part of the set. That's the idea. A couple of artists who are getting involved in this wouldn't want it any other way either. So that's how you get them. Of course, the artists will get some copies themselves. I know Andrew Lyles made it clear he wants a certain amount of copies, and I'm sure he'll sell them through his website. And that might be true of Nick Mott and Reverse Image and Era App X as well. So, they've all got websites. But Base Communion and the 6th artist, which is still... I still need to clarify a few things. I've got somebody else in mind if it doesn't work out. But it's looking likely that it will be Soviet France. But Base Communion and Soviet France will only want their records available through this concept of the subscription series. And I'm only going to do 150 of each, just so it's quick turnaround. I'm kind of tongue-in-cheek, in a tongue-in-cheek way, calling the series Elite Editions. Each of the 6 albums will be presented a certain way. I'm doing this because I've got in my mind the idea of an Obi strip being printed on the cover over the spine, not actually an OB strip itself, but just part of the cover design. So there's a uniformity to the albums. I've got this idea of if they were sat together on a shelf, won't be that. If they're sat together, they all look quite nice, you know, if they've all got the same spine and that same kind of concept. But the rest of the artwork will be down to the artists themselves. The pre-order for that will be up and running today or tomorrow, you know, sometime later this week. It's Wednesday as I'm doing this. It will be live very soon. I might even do it tonight. I don't know. But go to the shop, keep checking. And I really hope this works, because if I only get 10 subscribers, it's not going to be viable, you know. It has to work completely. Or I need to reach a certain target. The subscription series will remain open all the while the albums are being released, you know. So once 2 or 3 albums have been released, if there are still places available, you can, you know, subscribe, and then you'll get the first 3 entries in the series, or the first 2, or whatever. But I will make it easy to subscribe to. They won't be so cheap, although I am doing it fairly affordably. Again, I don't have that boutique mentality. You know, I don't have that mindset. So it's not about making loads of money, capitalising on the idea. I'm doing these almost as cheaply as possible, really. And Stephen Wilson even said, blimey, these are pretty cheap. So, or something like that the other day when he emailed me. So you know, he said these are, you know, this is a good price, a really good price, maybe even too good. So he didn't say that, but I'm saying that now. So that's the idea. But they will be almost 200 for 6 LPs. 190 something probably. I did think 186, but I'm waiting again for some clarity regarding one of the entries, because it might be a double album, in which case the price has to go up a little. So I'm just kind of hanging on for some news regarding this double LP entry in the series. If so, the price will be more like 195 or something. It'll have to be. I can't afford to lose money. And then there will be an option to pay one half now and another half after receiving the first entry in the series. Of course, they might all go, so you know, don't hang around. You know, yeah, plenty of other things. Michael Cashmore CD should be here next week. The 9th Circle, Beyond the Sun, and then the Kleistvar one will go into production. And then there's a Tungu and Tabata Mitsuru CD. A few other things happening. Oh, and the Edward Caspel and the Extended Network double LP. Edward Caspel, the Sympathy Portal LP. There should be some news on that fairly soon. And the Extended Network double LP should be happening fairly soon as well. And also Richard Young's Zulacrex. That LP will have some news soon as well. So lots of things happening all at the same time. I feel a little overwhelmed, and here I am adding to the pile. And I am also still working well on the finishing, on the end touches, the finishing touches to the 3rd Grim Humour book as well, and the Nick Mott book. But time is just permanently against me, really is. But I think I've said everything. Again, look in the shop link below for information regarding the subscription series. As I said, Elite Editions, playing on the idea that they're limited to 150. That's really for practical reasons. And again, I don't have that fucking stupid boutique mindset. I really don't. I just want quick turnaround albums. You know, I can manage that amount without depending on a distributor. These are all going to be mail order. They won't be available anywhere else. So there we are. And just to go through it again, Ear App Ext, Andrew Lyles, Nick Mott, Volcano the Bear, Base Communion, who else? Reverse Image. Did I say that before? And hopefully Soviet France. And it's looking likely, but we need to resolve a couple of things related to this. They seem really nice in their emails, but so I just got distracted by a message on the laptop from Steve Pittis. so Dirty Promotions. Anyway, I've said everything. Again, watch this space or watch the shop space for information, pre-order information regarding the sub-series. I really hope. I mean, I'm slightly nervous, but I really hope it works. And again, I'm going to make it easy to subscribe to. There might even be a third option along the way if this doesn't work, but I'll keep it to the 2 for now, you know. So full payment or a split payment, you know, 2 payments. And I think I've done 36 minutes. Terrible. It's because of this. So this bloody lengthy Ramley review. And look, you can see for yourselves, it's terrible writing. Anyway, on that note, I've said everything. I'll be back here soon. Thank you very much. My voice is going, and I've not even done that many lessons the last couple of days. So it's just going. I just need more of that and alcoholic grog. But I haven't had alcohol since the weekend. And I'm trying not to. So I've got things to say about Cafe Otto on October the 25th as well. But I'll be back here probably next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.